folks, this is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. And I'm multi-streaming tonight once again on Utizzle and Bumble. So I appreciate it if you'll toss me a thumbs up. That helps the video get around. And while people are coming in the chats, I appreciate everybody who comes by to see me and also who watches the video after the live stream. I'll play a clip just to refresh people's memory, what we've been through, what the nation's been through, and then we'll get on with our little discussion.
So here we are now. It's where we were today, in a city that was so great just 4 or 5 years ago. But now we're there, spent time there today, as you possibly read, with a local failed district attorney charging a former president of the United States for the first time in history on a basis that every single pundit and legal analyst said, there is no case. There's no case. They kept saying, there's no case. Virtually everyone. But it's far worse than that, because he knew there was no case. That's why last week he delayed for a month and then immediately took that back and threw this ridiculous indictment together. Came out today, everybody said, this is not really an indictment, there's nothing here. My lawyers came to me and they said, there's nothing here, they're not even saying what you did. The criminal is the district attorney because he illegally leaked massive amounts of grand jury information, for which he should be prosecuted, or at a minimum, he should resign. And Alvin Bragg's wife confirmed a report that claimed her husband has Trump nailed on felonies. She has since locked down her Twitter account. His chief prosecutor, who represented the Democrats and crooked Hillary Clinton and a firm run by Chuck Schumer's brother, Robert, he quit the firm in order to go to work in the DA office in order to get Trump. Can you imagine that? Hillary Clinton's lawyer, Democrat firm. Ultimately, he quit as chief prosecutor because Bragg didn't think he had a case. Think of that same guy that brought this ridiculous thing today. Yet during his investigation, this prosecutor named Mark Pomerantz wrote and published a book saying all sorts of privileged things and has been very strongly reprimanded. He was reprimanded so strongly. I've never seen anything like it. I've probably the end of it. But what he did was probably very illegal, but he was very, very strongly reprimanded. Even District Attorney Bragg was furious with him. They were having a tremendous fight in the office because of it. But hope is never lost because various prosecutors in the DA's office also quit because they thought President Trump was being treated very unfairly. How about that? Isn't that great? Oh, I love them. I'd like to meet them. I'd like to meet them. The DA's office even had a web page. Meet the team of executives who have done this to President Trump. That was the title. Isn't that nice? They immediately had to take it down. Meanwhile, overall crime in New York was up 30% last year, much more than that the year before, with felony assaults, robberies, and burglaries all up by massive, massive numbers. Not the same place that I know, not the same place that you know. And this is where we are right now. I have a Trump-hating judge with a Trump-hating wife and family whose daughter worked for Kamala Harris and now receives money from the Biden-Harris campaign, and a lot of it.
Yeah, just a little reminder of the historic day where Trump was charged. Criminally charged. And that's where we're, the basis on what we're moving forward here. We can never let it happen again. Hi, Colette. How are you doing? Nice to see you, Sissy, Andrew, William, Robin, Kathy, Darla, Todd, Jess and Bean. How you doing? Tracy's here. Cheryl, Benjamin, Melinda. Los Angeles illegal immigrantos are at it again. Yes, they are. I got some clips of that. I don't know why they just don't let these people continue to just peacefully protest. I'm joking, but here, I think one of these is in Seattle. I'm not sure if this is Seattle or one of the other little spots they're doing it in. How long before somebody gets hurt? How long before somebody gets hurt? Well, I got in my title, hi, Kicking Bird. I got in my title, Lines Crossed. And with that, we can refer to what is being done about this DOGE situation. A couple of things. We had people physically resist and also dox a lot of these DOGE workers that are young people, like 19 to 25-year-olds that are going through a lot of the computers and finding out the things. We had a big spectacle today with Ilhan Omar and a senator and a couple of people from the House going down to the USAID building, shedding their tears. And the usual suspects, Jamie Raskin, Alexander Eugene Vindman, or Eugene, I don't know if it's him or his brother or what. And we know what they're facing. We know what they're looking at if they fall out of favor and what's going to be found in that USAID computer system, the DMs, the routing numbers, the accounts, the corporations, the shell corporations funneling money. This is the one from Seattle. And I got to warn y'all, it's a language warning. If you don't, want one of your youngins hearing the sweet sounds of migrants. I don't know if that thing overheated or if they set it on fire or what happened there. But they used to make fun of us for boat parades. Remember that? But anyway, things settled down a little bit with what was happening with DOGE. But while that spectacle was happening at the USAID building, a lot of other things were happening. Edward R. Martin, United States Attorney, District of Columbia, namely D.C., part of the DMV, D.C., Maryland, Virginia. Quote, our initial review of the evidence presented to us indicates that certain individuals and or groups have committed acts that appear to violate the law in targeting DOGE employees, said Edward R. Martin, U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. We are in contact with FBI and other law enforcement partners to proceed rapidly. We also have our prosecutors preparing. Oh, whoa, what? What? Well, I ran across a clip. I made a clip of somebody I talked about in the past who's coming around, Asmongold. And this is a little blurry, but that's on purpose because I don't want what's on the screen to show up. And you'll know why after you hear. He's talking about on Reddit, people breaking the law and losing their minds. And I don't know if some of these people are on the prosecution is being prepared list or not. Tell me what you think.
Reddit has been having, as we all know, Reddit has been having what you would call a collective mental health crisis. A big one. Very big collective mental health crisis. Take a look at this. Muskrat's henchmen have been identified. Shaving their heads is the least that should happen. Their names. Drag their fucking bodies. It's time to drop the mitts. You need to know which knees to cripple, how many to cripple, and where the data got sent. It's time to hunt. All of these people live somewhere. It's time to do more than dragging names. Let's drag their necks up by a large coil of rope. If they feel they can walk into your government buildings with impunity, just remember they all have addresses of their own. This is from 8 hours ago with 1,000 upvotes. I'll say it. The Nazi stooge needs to be shot. Dox these people and let us deal with them. Where are they on media? Where do they live? Pink missed them all. They need to understand that this is now a war, and in war there are costs for being the enemy, and these people, make no mistake, are the enemies. Now this may sound crazy, but they had addresses. Not saying someone should pay them a visit, but doing this type of thing to the American people should result in you fearing for your life if you get to keep it. So we have a situation on Reddit. This is a collective mental health crisis on Reddit. Wow. Deranged. This is insane. I can't even believe this. Not gonna lie, these death threats should lead to Reddit sanctions to control it. I think they should.
Yep. So, yeah, I think it's goes beyond Reddit, I'm sure. You know, a lot of people, I'm sure, are seeing similar comments on other platforms. And it is insightful, and it's threatening, and it's rampant. And this stuff was going on while we had these pillars of the community attempting to enter the building there for USAID. And I already mentioned some of the people that were there. Here's Ilhan Omar giving her spiel about what she's been through in life and how important USAID is, even though I'll show you pictures that A lot of that money went to support IS and then IS. You know what that spells, right?
I lived in a refugee camp for 4 years as a child surviving civil war. It is the essential programs that USAID provided that kept my family and I fed and safe. It is the resources that so many people around the world rely on. And it is our soft power. Oftentimes, people interact with our country through the military. That does not create love for us, and it certainly does not keep us safe. When the world interacts with Americans through programs that provide essential need, they get to see the heart and compassion of the American people. What Trump and Elon and all of their cronies are trying to do is take away the constitutional power of Congress. We get to decide. We have the power of the purse. We get to decide where money is allocated, and it's the executive's power to make sure that that money gets to where it needs to get.
We have that power. What in the world is she even doing in that office? It's ridiculous. It's a joke. And did you notice the people in the background wearing masks? Here she is trying to leave, and Laura Loomer was trying to I guess it's somebody that works for a young kid trying to interview what's her face.
Congresswoman, how do you feel about the Trump administration's decision today to defund UNRWA, an organization that supports Hamas and whose members participated in the October 7th attacks? We know you support Hamas, so we'd love to hear your opinion. Would you like to answer, Congresswoman?
No, she's not going to answer anything. And here's a congressman. You don't see these creeps. I've never seen this guy's face in my life. But he sure needed to show up. And the other thing is, all these people they say were employees of USAID. Did they have to give them a map how to get to the building? Because, most of them didn't even show up for work. Just no-show jobs. But anyway, here's this so-called congressman.
Congressman, real quick, why are you defending an agency? Why are you defending an agency defying President Trump's executive order by still providing foreign countries taxpayer dollar aid?
Sounds like a biased question.
How's that biased? This is obstructing, isn't it?
I'm a member of Congress, and I'm exercising my rights as an American citizen under the First Amendment. So go bother someone else. Okay, so I'm...
Yeah, go bother someone else, he says. You can say what you want on the floor in Congress, okay? That's how Adam Schiff got away with misrepresenting that call between Trump and Zelensky because of the debate clause. But you have to be pretty careful when you're just out walking the streets and agitating. So I got another clip here. Let me see who all's going on. Hi, Theodosius. How you doing? Miss Sue, nice to see you. Susan's here. Robin's here. Let me see. Colette, nice to see you. Tennessee. Lone Wolf. KNS Cleanup. Holofix. I know it's Holofix. Yen, in other words. I will say yen. And sound as the yen. Pappy Two Bears, nice to see you. Darla, nice to see you. Wayne's giving me a thumbs up. Flannel Cheese, I hope you all give me a thumbs up also. Ha ha ha. Kicking birds here. Okay. All right, I hope I got it right. Here is lights cutting on. I told you I was listening to Scott Adams. He broadcasts about every day, but it gets kind of redundant for me. And a lot of times he says, it might not be as bad or as nefarious as you think. And but here he's suddenly coming around that there's some massive fraud going on.
Here's the interesting one. So apparently the highest ranking person in the Treasury, David Lebrick, he resigned rather than comply with DOGE for access to audit where they spent trillions of dollars a year. Trillions of dollars go through the system. And as soon as DOGE said, can we see what's in there? See where the money went? The person in charge quit. Now, I don't know how that could be more damning. The only thing that would be more damning is if they've already left the country to a country with no extradition. But let me tell you a universal truth. One of the things we learned in this story, allegedly, is that there was never any audit to money requests that went through the Treasury. They simply said yes to everything. Now, I hope that's not literally true, but it's being reported that they didn't even have the function to check. There was nobody whose job it was to even check. They just said yes. And some of that would include maybe some requests that you wouldn't want them to pay.
That's a nice way to put it. Some requests for stuff you probably wouldn't want them. Whatever. I had that clip of Marco Rubio. Where is it? Marco Rubio. Holy cow, I might have to go out of the studio to get it. But he pretty much said, I am in charge of USAID, okay? I'm the Secretary of State. And they answered me because they keep kicking around this Elon Musk business. So, by the way, this was seen in Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv, what's this mean? Seal the big deal. What's the big deal? What's the big deal, folks? I'll give you all a chance to make a guess what the big deal is. And I'll tell you what I think it is. Be a big deal for them. But I know what's going to be a big deal for us. For us. And you all are my witnesses. Last night when I broadcasted, what did I say? What did I say would be the end game? The end game would be replacing the IRS, replacing the notion of having to kowtow and answer to a nefarious government. And what it would be replaced with is a version of universal income that everybody's been speculating and wondering about, and what we could have done 100 years ago for the general welfare of this nation. I said the IRS was going to go south. I said the 16th Amendment was going to end up in the trash pail. What does Trump announce today? What did he sign into an executive order? Was the establishment of a sovereign wealth fund. A sovereign wealth fund. In my past broadcasts, many of you have been with me for a while, I said some countries don't even have an income tax. Very few. Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia. They give their people money if you're a citizen because they share in the natural resources and the wealth of the nation. And I said that would be coming our way one day. So here's Trump. Notice how the media, right at the end, totally ignore the importance of what he's signing and try to continue this mantra against Elon Musk, who doesn't even have an official position and an advisory only position. And the agency he is overseeing is answerable to Marco Rubio and Donald Trump. But anyway, I'll go ahead and play this so you can start to think about you have to institute something like NESARA somehow. You have to have mechanisms for it. This is going to be phase 2. Phase 2. Phase 1 is going to be what I talked about last night, where people get reimbursed, rebates, stimulus, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if it's just going to be a token amount, but it's going to whet people's appetites to see, wait a minute, instead of us getting screwed over, this thing can be turned around where we can have comfortable lives and we can end the silent thieves and their rackets.
Right? He'll be thrilled to see it. He's going to do a good job.
Thank you, sir. Next, your administration has smashed records for appointing large numbers of highly qualified, capable people at all levels of the federal government. These are 28 sub-cabinet level officials being appointed to a number of different departments and agencies. Some of them are quite important positions like departmental general counsels, but these are people who have been pre-vetted and have received your approval previously.
Very good.
These are people that are sub-cabinet. What if something happens, somebody becomes acting somebody, acting this or acting that. What the deep state tricks used to be in the past was it kept people embedded in these big positions. And as you know, Trump's been cleaning them out, and now he's replacing them, as was said, with people who were previously vetted, and Trump knows them very well.
Sir, next, this is an executive order. This charges your Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, and your Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, to begin a process that will hopefully result in the creation of an American sovereign wealth fund.
It's a very exciting event. We're going to have a sovereign wealth fund, which we've never had. We have a lot of things that create wealth, and you're seeing that over the last 2 weeks. I think we've created more wealth. Other people have created de-wealth, the people, my predecessors. We're creating a lot of wealth. Scott, maybe you'd like to say something about it, and I'd ask also Howard to say something about it.
Yes, sir, this is very exciting. We're going to stand this thing up within the next...
He said his predecessors practice de-wealth instead of a sovereign wealth fund. And as we know, our form of government is the first time in human history where the people are the sovereign, not a king or principality as a sovereign. But anyway, this fellow here is going to try to get people excited a little bit about it. But you'll see how quick the media just brushes it off like he didn't say nothing.
Next 12 months, we're going to monetize the asset side of the U.S. balance sheet for the American people. We're going to put the assets to work. And I think it's going to be very exciting. We're going to study best practices that's done around the world. It'll be a combination of liquid assets, assets that we have in this country as we work work to bring them out for the American people.
The extraordinary size and scale of the U.S. government and the business it does with companies should create value for American citizens. If we are going to buy 2 billion COVID vaccines, maybe we should have some warrants and some equity in these companies and have that grow for the help of the American people. So I bring all these things together. I think Scott and I will create an amazing sovereign wealth fund for you, sir.
So other countries have sovereign wealth funds, and they're much smaller countries, and they're not the United States. We have tremendous potential in this country, tremendous. You're seeing that's what's happened just in a short period of time. And as an example, TikTok, we're going to be doing something perhaps with TikTok, and perhaps not. If we make the right deal, we'll do it, otherwise we won't. But I have the right to do that, and we might put that in the sovereign wealth fund, whatever we make, or if we do a partnership with very wealthy people, a lot of options, but we could put that as an example in the fund, and we have a lot of other things that we could put in the fund. And I think in a short period of time, we'd have one of the biggest funds, and some of them are pretty large, I must tell you. Some of like the Saudi Arabia fund is on the large side, but eventually we'll catch it. But we're going to create a lot of wealth for the fund. And I think it's about time that this country had a sovereign wealth fund. And these two gentlemen and some others are going to work with them very closely, and they'll be heading it up, and they're going to do a great job. Two highly respected people that have done unbelievably well in the world, in the real world. So that's a big deal, huh?
Yes, sir. I think it's going to create value and be of great strategic importance.
Mr. President, why is it important for
Well, he's got access only to letting people go that he thinks are no good if we agree with him, and it's only if we agree with him. He's a very talented guy from the standpoint of management and costs, and we put him in charge of seeing what he can do with certain...
I got another clip about Elon I'll play, but there they jump right into Elon Musk and don't even ask a single question about this sovereign wealth fund. You heard the guy say they're going to have it set up within about 12 months, 1 year. 1 year. Sovereign wealth fund, which is, he said, I misunderstood what he said, was Saudi Arabia's one example of countries that take profits that and the income from a nation's natural resources, the gross domestic product, money that's made on business transactions. He gave TikTok as an example. That may work and it may not work. But the money goes to the people, and it is in a fund that is to benefit the American people. Instead of de-wealthing people, we'll make America wealthy. Okay? Instead of having multi-millionaire congressmen along with their, and women, along with their cronies, their friends, their families, all running around with this super wealth. And then throwing billions of dollars at every country on the face of the earth for them to spit in our face and send us their criminals and mentally ill people, people who have serious physical illnesses under the guise of migration. Trump realizes the extent of the pilfering of our wealth. And even worse than that, one of the biggest disservices is it takes away innovation, it takes away drive, it takes away the morale and the confidence of the citizenry. That is the real wealth of the nation. That's the real wealth. Oil, gold, deposits, natural deposits, manufacturing, the product of people on this hamster wheel they created back in 1913 when they came up with the income tax. That is a tremendous amount of wealth. But prior to that, it was the American spirit that created the most wealth, the most innovation, ushered in the first industrial revolution and the second industrial revolution. We were the most powerful nation on the face of the earth. We had the most money per capita generated on more than anyone on the face of the earth back in the 1800s. So we're going to go back to the old way of doing it, and it's going to be done in a manner to usher in National Economic Security Recovery Act, NESARA. Okay? Other nations follow our blueprint. You're going to have Global Economic Security Recovery Act, GSARA. And as I've said many times before, our greatest export should be the American spirit, because that is what produces wealth. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, those three guarantees is what gets people confident, people looking forward, people innovating, and a much happier populace. And hey, let freedom ring. There you have it. So who did I miss coming in? Theodosius is here. Let's see. And Susan, nice to see you. Benjamin. Oh, I don't know why he was talking about vaccines. And try to misspell those words. We already put a couple of keywords in without being careful about it. But anyway, so we've got this ignoring by the media of these monumental steps that Trump is taking. And I just found it so refreshing. I mean, really, the night after I did the broadcast, I said the end game would be returning wealth to the American people. I discussed it as inflation rebates, fraud, reimbursements, or whatever, that there would be a reversal. Instead of taking money from people, giving it back to them, and boom, the next day he signs his executive order. And you all are my witness. Hi, CJ, how you doing? Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And I want to thank everybody that's helped out this week on Buy Me a Coffee. Mike and Bev kicked in just before I went live. And Norm and Hilarious and Holofix, more commonly known as Yen, Lone Wolf and Hebrew Hammer. Because we're in a new month. This is the first week of the month. And I appreciate everybody who kicked in to buy me a coffee. I've got a link in the description if anybody wants to help the channel out. Here is something else that's going to be coming into public consciousness. People are going to be chewing on what exactly this sovereign wealth account means, right? Here's Bobby Kennedy talking about, since we mentioned the VAX, right? Listen carefully to what he says about that and about the people behind this business.
Toria Nuland kind of blithely announced during congressional testimony last year that, oh, by the way, we have these biolabs in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And that was like kind of ignored, and the people who covered it got attacked for covering it. But the fact remains there are U.S. biolabs in Ukraine. Why would we have biolabs in Ukraine?
We have biolabs in Ukraine because we're developing bioweapons. And You know, and those bioweapons are using all kinds of new synthetic biology and CRISPR technology and genetic engineering techniques that were not available to previous generation, and they can make frightening stuff. What happened was, in you know, when we walked away from, when the Patriot Act reopened the bioweapons arms race in 2001, the Pentagon began putting a lot of money into bioweapons, but they were nervous at that time because if you violate Geneva, the Geneva Convention, it's a hanging offense. And they weren't sure that that provision in the Patriot Act would actually hold up as a loophole to treaties that had been ratified by Congress. So they were nervous about actually going full force into bioweapons development.
I don't know if he got to the end of that or not. Wait a minute. Let me see where he ended up at. Did he mention that what happened?
Widely announced during congressional
Oh, I can't speed this up.
we have these biolabs in Ukraine. Yeah. And
Yeah.
What happened?
I can.
Convention, it's a hanging offense.
Oh, there you go. What did he say? What did he say?
The Pentagon began putting a lot of money into bioweapons, but they were nervous at that time. If you violate Geneva, the Geneva Convention, it's a hanging offense. And they weren't sure that that provision in the Patriot Act would actually hold up as a loophole to treaties that had been ratified by Congress. So they were nervous about actually going full force into bioweapons development.
How many of you caught what he said? I played it 3 times. He said it 3 times. Miss Mendersu put booms in there. All right, I guess I thank you if you went to buy me a coffee, if that's what the booms mean. I appreciate it. He said that they got involved. Todd got it, and he used a 4 in there. You can see in the chats what he said. And he's being gentle about it. He's saying, look, they got involved in this research, and they didn't know if what Congress passed would protect them, because messing around with that kind of a weapon is a HANG-ing offense. Susan, you're not trying to disguise your words. And you're putting words in that are going to get me in trouble. And I just said that somebody put it in there and disguised the word with a 4. Trust and safety. You get a break for 5 minutes until you figure out how to put stuff in the chats right. It happens every broadcast. Sometimes I ignored it, but if I wake up in the morning and I'm shut down for a week. Anyway. This kind of stuff makes me just... Let's see. Get my thoughts back in line. Yeah, I'll just stay away from sensitive stuff tonight. I'm 44 minutes in the broadcast. I don't feel like getting in trouble. I don't feel like getting mad at people or having people get mad at me. So here, I'll just play a little funny video. You guys get the point with the with what Trump is going to do with NESARA.
Do you find yourself acting irrationally? Do you get mistaken as a hyena when you laugh? Or do word salads occur frequently? Now there's help. Introducing Trumpanol. Trumpanol is designed specifically for those suffering with Trump derangement syndrome. Don't allow TDS to control your life anymore. Trumpanol is fast-acting, delivering relief from the stress of campaign season. Side effects may include registering as a Republican or voting for Donald Trump. Consult with your doctor before taking Trumpanol.
Yeah, Tennessee, you're fine. I didn't see anything out of the way, but I just finished spelling the word out. H-A-N and then G-I-N-G, so I wouldn't get in trouble, and somebody just pukes it out in the chats after being told 25,000 times not to do that. Anyway, here's somebody that's working against ICE, and I'm wondering how far they'll go with these, after these people, as far as prosecuting them for obstructing justice.
Good morning. It's Thursday of the longest week of our lives. I'm out and about for about another hour. I've been out on around Redwood Road and kind of around 3300 South out into West Valley. Confirming tips if you have any. We haven't had any in real time this early, even though that's when they're active. But, you know, it's a big city. So, on that note, I'm going to be spending the weekend trying to figure out how to make this the most useful. I do want to be out and about, because if I can catch them filming, it has the potential to help someone's legal case. But I also want to make sure that I'm not wasting anybody's time doing this, including my own. Because so far it's been all of you who've been sharing the information that's the most helpful, not me driving up to it. So we'll see. What else? Boy, it's what, day 6 of this for me, and a little bit longer for everybody else. I think we're in it for the long haul, like a long time. So I'm meeting with other people to figure out what's really needed and how we can stay energized ourselves through, make the most impact.
Can you imagine being married to that? She can't even drag a brush through her hair. I doubt she's got a husband. I really do. If she does, you know, either he deserves it or God bless him for his patience. I don't know what to think of it, but you got nothing better to do than ride around in the early morning hours trying to frustrate ICE from gathering people up. Haven't you been watching the news? Okay, Laken Riley, for one out of dozens of horrific crimes and thousands of other crimes that have been committed. What the hell's the matter with you, woman? But anyway, here, let her keep babbling. She's energized.
Back to help the most people, because it's going to be a long haul. But I'm here for the long haul because it's important, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Keep sending me those tips. I put the ones that are confirmed in my stories, and last night I put kind of a long list of unconfirmed ones at the end of the day. If that's helpful, I'll continue to do that. Let me know if it's not, though. I don't want to spread panic or fear, but I think it might be helpful to see where things are happening after the fact, to see if we can notice any patterns or anything. But that's it. I'll let everybody get back to their day. Stay safe, lots of love, and as always, let me know what I or people I trust can do to help. Take care. Oh, one last note. What's been really helpful for me, and I realize might be helpful for you, I speak very little Spanish, so I've noticed that in TikTok, on the little kind of share arrow, you can turn on captions and change the captions to another language. So if I'm watching videos in Spanish, I can turn the captions on and have the captions be in English for me, like subtitles. So if doing the reverse of that helps you understand my English better, give it a try. Good for me. That's it. Take care. Lots of love.
Doesn't even speak Spanish. Anyway, here's Bernie. Here's Bernie getting ready for when he was training for his showdown with Bobby Kennedy.
Hey, I didn't hear no bell. All right, that's right. Slip the jab. That's it. Mentalize. See that bum in front of you. You see yourself doing right, and you do right. That Apollo won't know what hit him. You're gonna roll over him like a bulldozer. And I'll tell you.
Ha 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 ha. Didn't go very well for you, did it? But anyway, you know, here's Van Jones. Van Jones, Bernie, former liberals like Scott Adams, and even what's his name, the Eddie, what's his name, Fetterman. They're coming around. And I think the way Trump is handling this situation with the sovereign wealth fund, easing in NESARA and getting the general public to wake up. I've been hard on people like Bernie, calling him a commie and stuff like that. But Jimmy Carter too, they just don't realize the history of the country. And they know that there is corruption. There's a reason Jimmy Carter didn't get a white letter at George Bush's funeral, because he's not an evil person. He's not. Carter was just misguided, okay? The woman that just was in her car talking, I don't think she's an evil person. She's just dopey and she doesn't understand. I think when you see the goals, Van Jones, he's a communist. He says it. The reason they are is because they think there is an imbalance and people are unjustly driven into poverty. And they're right about that. What they're wrong about is having an authority straighten that out. It all leads to corruption. If it's taken out of the hands of the people, that's what they don't understand. And I'm thinking the way you see Fetterman coming around, supporting these nominees and standing his ground on common sense issues. Don't be surprised if you see Bernie jump ship, believe it or not, once he sees what Trump has in mind with the sovereign wealth fund and the concept of the people being the sovereign. Okay? But anyway, let me play Van Jones. He pretty much lets these people know how stupid they're acting, the way they constantly, and this guy, and oh, you're right, I know. This guy realizes that they're constant name calling and describing Trump in desultory terms is ridiculous. But anyway, let him do it.
How the hell did Donald Trump figure out the mainstream media is the fringe and the fringe is now the mainstream? How the hell did Donald Trump figure out? I mean, Joe Rogan is obvious, right? Like, we knew the guy had a big audience. It's not like we were like stunned, but like, how the hell was he, the 78-year-old guy who doesn't even have a computer and still like writes handwritten notes? How did he become the guy who cracked the code on, to your point, running a cultural, I don't even want to say campaign, running
it was a movement. Look,
heading a cultural movement versus a campaign.
Every one of your people knows Elon. Listen. Yeah. So I mean, everybody keeps. I mean, the problem is you have a framework in your mind that how can Donald Trump? Guys, can we cut it out? Donald Trump is not an idiot. Donald Trump. Let me just be very clear. Donald Trump is smarter than me, you, and all critics. You know why we know? Because he has the White House, the Senate, the House,
Totally agree.
Support the popular vote. He has a massive media ecosystem bigger than the mainstream built around him and for him, and a religious fervor in a political movement around him. And his best buddy is the richest person in the history of the world, and the most relevant Kennedy is with him. This dude is a phenomenon. He is the most powerful human on earth and in our lifetime, and we're still saying, well, how was this guy? We look like idiots to ordinary people.
You're totally right.
We look like idiots. You're totally right. He said Trump is the most powerful person on the face of the earth in our lifetimes. Quit talking about him like he's some kind of bumbling fool that is just lucky, and that his stupid supporters are somehow winning when they don't deserve it. Obviously, they do deserve it because they've won and they're continuing to win. So I don't think people like Bernie and Van Jones, even the crazy biddy in the car, I don't think that they're bad people. They're low IQ. Like Trump uses that term a lot. Or dopey or whatever you want. They don't analyze. They don't understand history. Trump is doing a 10-year lesson for our civilization. And while he's here, while class is in session, people better start paying attention. But I put this on the screen to show you. When you have laws that can be abused, take it to the bank. At some point, they will get abused. HOA new rule. This is Steve Leto. I've talked about him in the past. You can't smoke in your own home. I don't know what's going to come of this, but I'll tell you what. Somebody thinks they're king of the world. And some people are going to have to take their time, their precious time, and fight in court to defend their rights. It's gone bat poop crazy. Okay? Some of these people, and unfortunately, a lot of them end up working for the government. They have de facto no boss. They live a artificial life where a damn good paycheck comes in. They got nobody to answer to. All they have to do is support the big club when they're called upon. And it gives them a false sense of superiority. They're 10 gods. And Trump is rattling their cages. So you'll see less of this kind of stuff, but unfortunately, it is happening. Here's the way AP puts it out. With this crap with Canada, Trump imposes tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China. Trump says Americans could feel, quote, some pain from tariffs. And that's where they leave it at. People read it and go, oh, we're going to suffer because of Trump. No mention of what he's talking about in the future, very near future. They said they would have that sovereign wealth fund set up within about 12 months. I'm not mentioning even what I think may become stimulus or emergency orders, payments prior to that are going to get people to say, hey, wait a minute. Trump is looking out for us. But no, all they put up is this boogeyman stuff. We're going to feel pain because of Trump. Here's another idiot. Tyler Cohen. Finally, Trump learns brutal lesson he deserves. This is after Mexico said, we're going to put tariffs on you too. Blech. Trump got a brutal lesson. You know, it's like I was saying, attorneys didn't even used to be able to advertise. It was supposed to be beneath the profession. And the ethics for being an attorney, you had to be mindful and cognizant of the fact that if you are allowed to hang a shingle, to have a law license, that you had to be aware of what you said in public carried weight more so than the average person. And it is a privilege to have that added distinction. And if you can't control your thoughts, if you put out one side and blab out something meant to be desultory and tearing down the President of the United States without understanding that you have a higher level of believability because of the legal profession, not because of you, because of the legal profession, maybe you shouldn't have a license. I've been saying that for a long time. These people who are being insightful, who are being desultory, who are being intimating criminality where there is none, I don't think they should be able to say, I'm an attorney. And here you have Mexico deploying. This was 4 hours after he posted his video. Mexico crumbles. Okay, the peso fell against the dollar. They were sucking wind. They crumbled and agreed to put 10,000 agents on the border, and they pay for it in perpetuity. 4 hours after he posts his stupid ass video, pretending like Trump took a big hit from Mexico because they're going to put tariffs on us. Who gives a damn? Not like I care about avocados. But anyway, he gets 1 million views in 6 hours. This miscreant, malcontent, misfit that has a law degree. And like I've been saying, characters like Dopey David Pacman, Kyle Kalinske, even that little Harry Sisson, they all look stressed out. They all look like they've been on a long drunk since Trump won. And they look for any little thing to throw a rock at. So he gets 1 million views in 6 hours, while Fox News gets 103,000 views in 2 hours. So you extrapolate that out, they'll get half the views. But the real story is that Mexico is going to cooperate because not only nobody's talking about this part. Not only are they going to put troops on the border, but what else happened? No, not a peep. Not a peep. Nick Sortor put out, breaking. U.S. Air Force intelligence aircraft have entered Mexican airspace after Mexico agreed to cooperate in the fighting the cartels. This is practically unheard of. Pete Hegseth sent a warning to the cartels saying, quote, all options are on the table. President Trump demanded 100% operational control of the border, and Hegseth is delivering. We're flying military planes in Mexico's airspace, and just like Trump said the other day, they're going to like it. Okay? They're going to like it. So those cartels can end up like the Somalian ISIS. The Somalian ISIS. Remember that? I showed the video of the mountains blowing up. Do they report on that? Is that a foreign policy victory? You damn right it is. So, no, but they want to look at every little stupid thing and pretend like Trump is always losing. Here. And Wokeness put this up. Breaking. Canadian dollar plummets to the lowest level against the U.S. dollar since 2003. Lower than it's been in over 20 years. The Canadian dollar. So you're damn right. Damn right Trudeau came and made peace. Did you see my thumbnail? It says, it's got printed words at the top. It says, you got a deal, kid. And then down below it says, giggles like a schoolgirl. I didn't put it in my, let me see if I got it in my studio. I put it in there. Because that's what it boiled down to. Even though he's resigning, he still looks like an idiot if he doesn't have a deal with Trump. There you go. It's a deal, kid. Giggles like a schoolgirl. Yeah, he's happy to have it. But Brian Tyler Cohen, or whatever his stupid name is, Trump finally gets the punishment he deserves. Well, who are you rooting for? You want to be a member of the bar in Mexico? Because you won't be one in here if this kind of crap keeps up. And Wokeness says 2 weeks in, Mexico cave, Panama cave, Colombia cave, Venezuela cave, Canada panicking, mass deportations, hostages are home, DEI programs ended, bureaucracy slashed, FBI purges are underway, USAID funding canceled, gender ideology eliminated. DOGE already saved billions. 51 intel agents lost clearance. Border crossings dropped by 93%. Reservoirs filled up in California. Just to name a few developments. And the internet speed is still very high right now. I think that is because things are going to be happening. Speaking of USAID, here's some pictures that came across. USAID logo on weapons found in the al-Baida and Marib front lines. That's in Yemen. Yemen. Why is USAID given? Here's some more. Here's some more weapons. There's their logo on the weapons. But wait, there's more. Ilhan Omar, here. Come here and look at this picture, Ilhan. It's ISIS. Then, you clutch your chest and look at the sky and say, oh, every time I hear ISIS, I just, Yeah, here's USAID tents. So this stuff is going to bust open, and people are going to go to jail over it. People are going to go to jail over it. What's next? Clandestine gives us a hint. Here we go. The next federal agency in the sights of DOGE. What do you think it is? What do you think it might be? I'll tell you what it might be. It might be Department of Education. Right? Trump is reportedly preparing an EO to begin, quote, dismantling the agency and, quote, shutting down all functions. The swamp draining process is fully, my chats, what happened to my chats? Oh, there it is. Fully underway. Trump is actually doing it. Closing the agency would require congressional approval, so the new administration hopes to diminish it in the meantime. Yeah, well, that's all right. Whatever it takes. Devin Nunes, wait a second. I got a lot of smart people in the chats, right? Have I got a lot of smart people in the chats? Because I want to ask a question. I didn't get a chance to look it up while I was getting ready to do the broadcast. Devin Nunes said, here's my quote regarding @real Donald Trump pick for Deputy Director of the CIA. Deputy Director of the CIA. I'd like to congratulate Michael Ellis as his nomination as Deputy Director of the CIA. Having worked closely with Michael both when he was General Counsel for the House Intelligence Committee and since he became General Counsel of Rumble, Truth Social's strategic partner, I know him to be one of the finest legal minds in the country on intelligence and national security issues. There's no better candidate to serve as CIA's Deputy Director and help Director Ratcliffe reform and depoliticize the agency, refocusing its work on core missions. Hi, Hebrew Hammer. I thank you for helping out this week on Buy Me a Coffee, but you weren't here. I thanked Lone Wolf and Holfix and Hilarious and Norm and Mike and Beth. But anyway, is Michael Ellis, you all let me know if you know. Isn't he the guy that they went after, was Trump's attorney, and stood with him on stage when Trump told everybody to march peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol? Is he the one? Is that Michael Ellis that they tried to charge? And they took his cell phones, and I believe they revoked his law license in California. I'll have to look that up. But maybe someone in the chats can tell me. I don't know. I meant to look it up. Here's Justin Trudeau. I just had a good call with President Trump. Canada is implementing our $1.3 billion border plan. Oh, now they have a plan. Reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology, and personnel, enhanced coordination with our American partners, and increased resources to stop the flow of fentanyl. Nearly 10,000 frontline personnel are and will be working on protecting the border. Oh, okay. So now between them and Mexico, we got 20,000. In addition, Canada is making new commitments to appoint a fentanyl czar, and we will list cartels as terrorists, ensure 24/7 eyes on the border, launch a Canada-U.S. strike force to combat organized crime, fentanyl, and money laundering. I have also signed a new intelligence director on organized crime and fentanyl, and we will be backing it with $200 million. Proposed tariffs will be paused for at least 30 days while we work together. No, I didn't say Jen Ellis. I'm saying Michael Ellis. So Trump, his response, it makes me want to go Google it right now. Because I'm pretty sure he was with Trump on the stage. Oh my goodness, this is awful. This has to do with, oh God. This has to do with all that crazy stuff that was being put out on Reddit. This is the kind of stuff Jack Posobiec put up. Apparently this is a federal worker, Vosh V. Federal workers actively stating they are declaring war on Trump from within the government. From within the government. Whoever this guy is, he's going to get looked at. I guess he thinks he put meme at the top, that's supposed to make it okay. This is how he gets the people pumped up. You are hiding what's left of your local GameStop in the ruins of your Richmond, Virginia. when a soldier screams something at you in broken English, in a broken English accent, thickly veiled with Norwegian, about how you must come outside or I'll shoot. You are loaded onto a bus filled with your other countrymen. They say they want to show you something. You are taken to a massive abandoned parking lot with white tents and chain link fences. You remember this place. This was the old Walmart, Trump's government requisitioned area, this area for mass deportations. Then you are overwhelmed with the worst stench you've ever smelled in your life. And you round the corner and see massive piles of gray bodies, some with a lower hint of beige, indicating that all their skin was once colored brown. These are all Hispanic Americans. Trump told us they died because of bird flu, but you can clearly see bullet holes in the backs of their heads. You are then thrown a shovel and told to dig by a man with a very heavy British accent. All the while, you are screamed at by the man with what seemed to be a Canadian accent, saying, "Look what you did! You did this!" as you dig, just as your ancestors dug those graves in 1945. You realize that we'll all forget about this in 100 years, and they'll just do it again. This is a government employee trying to scare the people about Trump and comparing it to the Holocaust. That's how disgusting they are. Well, Jack Posobiec was talking about how how these FBI agents, not Jack Posobiec, what's his name? Rob Gavoya. He was talking about how the FBI Agent Association was coming to the so-called rescue of all these FBI agents that got notices. They had to fill out a survey. What was their involvement? What was their involvement in J6? Very brief surveys, yes or no answers. Get them in by tomorrow, Wednesday. And if you don't, just don't come back to work. And we'll find out for ourselves whether you were involved. Hey, let's see, I got one guy here, got his FBI interview. What is his name? Let me see. He got a video of his FBI interrogation about J and then 6. I forget his name. I had a picture of it with his name on there. Well, that's all right. I got the interview right here. It's kind of hard to hear, but listen to it if this is the right one. What you'll hear is the FBI agent pretty much saying to him, look, we know that you got tricked into breaking the law, but we don't think you're a bad person. We don't think the people you assaulted, look, people died that day. And we have officers that have been injured and will be suffering for the rest of their lives because of what happened. But we don't think you're that bad of a person. Blah, blah, blah. Listen to the way they try to manipulate him to get him to admit some kind of wrongdoing. These are the kind of FBI agents that are going to get fired and more than likely prosecuted. Let me play this interrogation.
To raise your kid all by yourself. I don't think that's fair. I think you're a guy who was very concerned with what you saw going on in the country, with the election, with the political process, with what have you. And I think our president time, called for people to come to the Capitol and express how they felt about that. And we did that because we give a shit. But I think some of those people in power were taking advantage of the passions that people like you felt and feel for their own personal benefit. And I don't think it's fair for you to pay for the actions of others necessarily. So I understand why you went up there and did what you did. I understand what forced you to do that. And to be frank, like in the overall scheme of what happened that day, people died. 5 people died. We've got people with lifelong debilitating injuries. People have lost eyes. They've had limbs amputated. They've had traumatic brain injuries. To date, nobody that I've seen, if you're on camera assaulting, has had anything like that. So, on the broad spectrum of things, like you're not one of my most egregious cases. So I think that plays in your favor a little bit. I think it also plays in your favor a little bit when you have your initial appearance and you have your detention hearing. It's going to follow that. If when I get out of this room, I can call the United States Attorney and say, hey, I just spoke with Mr. Quagland. We've talked through the whole thing. He's going to cooperate and help and do what he can. And they stand in front of that judge when he's making a decision about whether you're going to be held pre-trial for 18 months or however long it's going to take for your trial to actually happen, or if there's things that can be done to maybe make it so that doesn't even happen. No promises, but I can almost guarantee you, if we don't talk today, that's not going to happen. The only way that's going to happen is if you help yourself out today. So I've done a lot of talking to you. Haven't asked you anything yet. Are you willing to talk with us some today?
My lawyer advised me not to answer any questions without him being present.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, stick it. My lawyer said for me not to talk to your dumb ass. So that guy in the blue coat especially, I don't know about that chrome dome sitting up top. And yeah, they're wearing masks like a pack of idiots. And, when you think about what they put these people through, that they made them take the VAX, right? The gross violations of their rights. I saw, I had a copy of that, what General Flynn put out. Somebody mentioned him in the chats. He put out something where he told where is that? He told everybody that was stirring up crap, you better stop because people will be prosecuted. Where did I see that? Oh, gosh. I wish I could find it. Is this it? Oh, Richard Nixon. I had this the other night. This is Nixon's second inaugural address. Our children have been taught to be ashamed of their country, ashamed of their parents, ashamed of America's record at home and of its role in the world. At every turn, we've been beset by those who find everything wrong with America and little that is right. But I'm confident that this will not be the judgment of history on these remarkable times in which we are privileged to live. He didn't know what they had set up for him. But even back then, people were throwing rocks at America. I wish I could find that post by General Flynn. I have to make a mental note of what's left in my brain to find that, because it was pretty straightforward. I hate to keep using this term, but FAFO. Okay? So maybe I'll find it. I have got dozens and dozens of things put on the screen. But I saw somebody mention General Flynn, and he did put out a warning out there, and it was to the FBI. Keep it up, and you're going to get it. But I'll have to find it when I find it. Anyway, here is Citizens Free Press said from a friend. So much winning. Mexico takes a knee. Panama bows down. USAID shut down. FBI weasels being hunted. Guantanamo Bay ready to receive. Illegals. CBS in trouble for manipulating Kamala interview. And David Hogg is vice chair of the DNC. Tears are in my eyes. This is a golden age. Can't wait to see what great things happen this week. And Trump is, keeping his aplomb, right? Citizen Free Press again. The U.S. Agency for International Development dispersed over 20% of its foreign assistance funds to Ukraine in 2023, according to data published by the government. They received more than $16 billion out of the $72 billion distributed by the agency. Remember, folks, especially with this picture of ISIS characters, this picture I showed you was taken in 2011. What were we told about? Who were we told about? And told to check where their money was coming from. The McStain Foundation, right? The Clinton Foundation. Wait till we see what kind of ties go to John McStain and the Clinton Foundation. But anyway, Ethiopia received the second highest allocation for USAID. But at just $1.7 billion, the sum pales in comparison. What they get? $16 billion compared to what went to Ukraine. In addition, Jordan, Afghanistan, and Somalia received just over $1 billion in assistance. Meanwhile, Congo, Syria, Nigeria, Yemen, and South Sudan received aid ranging from $740 million to $936 million. So Ukraine far outstripped everybody else. But what is going to be the real kicker is who that money was funneled through, how much actually got to where it was meant to go. People are going to be stunned. We're not going to get stunned. But the average person is. France has begun withdrawing its troops from Senegal, as reported by Senego Portal. The Marshal, Saint-Exupéry, and Rear Admiral Prote bases have already been handed over to the Senegalese military. We were talking about how they're getting kicked out of Africa. The French contingent should completely leave by September. And then U.S. demands Europe increase funding for Ukraine support to equalize it with Washington's investments. We're talking billions more. Billions more. Macron came out and said he was going to double France's defense spending. So I guess they're going to go from like 2 warships to 4. I don't know what they got. What's this? Oh, this is Trump's response to Justin Trudeau. Canada agreed to assure the northern border secured and to finally end the deadly scourge of drugs. Canada will be implementing, he's repeating what Trudeau said, $1.3 billion, reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology, enhanced coordination with American partners, 10,000 frontline personnel. Canada making new commitments for fentanyl czar. Let's see. Better come up with some good stuff for us. I've also signed a new intelligence directive on organized crime and fentanyl. So they're cracking down on organized crime, fentanyl, and money laundering. And we will be backing it with $200 million. As president, it is my responsibility to ensure the safety of all Americans, and I'm doing just that. I'm very pleased with this initial outcome, and the tariffs announced on Saturday will be paused for a 30-day period to see whether or not a final economic deal with Canada can be structured. Fairness for all. Okay, so we got to remember the McStain Foundation, which we learned from the 17th letter, and also with money laundering, international money laundering. What else have I talked about in the past is going to come in out of the blue? Is going to be Castle Rock. Castle Rock. That is a headquarters for the U.S. Secret Service, which they are in charge of. They oversee investigations for international money laundering, not just security for the president and vice president, but they're also in charge of international money laundering and counterfeiting. So we're going to see that pop up out of the blue. People won't even know what hit them. Speaking of Macron, journalist, what's her name? I talked about how she got accused. She got charged. Now she's been convicted. Journalist Nacha, I can't say her name, Ray, who was convicted in France for claims that President Emmanuel Macron's wife Brigitte was born a man, has asked for political asylum in Russia, her lawyer said. European freedom of speech. Yeah, she should be proud of it if she is. Now, this is the Russian view of what's going on in South Africa. I might have Trump's post about it in here, but what they're saying in Eastern Europe is Trump said the U.S. is suspending financial aid to South Africa as long as the country has a law in place that allows authorities to seize land from its owners without compensation under certain conditions. Well, at least they're reporting it in Russia. But what Trump was talking about, you've had farmers actually getting it rubbed out and their land taken by gangs. But yeah, that's another big story that people are talking about. Who was big on South Africa, singing their praises, was Fannie Willis's father. He had a big hand in the Black Panthers in the 60s, these progressive Marxist groups, and he applied for citizenship to South Africa. And like I said, they didn't even want him. But anyway, yeah, they got a bad system over there. A bad system. Remember when I was talking about Frank Luntz? I said he looked like he'd been on a long drunk too. Couldn't comb his hair, didn't shave his face. Now he says he's had a couple of strokes. That's what accounts for his speech. But here, he's on this famous panel with CNN, where if you disagree with any of them, they act like a pack of jackals and you can't get a word in edgewise. Just ask Scott Jennings. But anyway, there's a language warning at the end of this video that somebody added on there to make it funny, which I guess it does. But the point is here, Frank Luntz was told by Trump that he was breaking the law with his push polls. How he was working with Paul Ryan and rhinos to rig polls, and he got very nervous. But anyway, he was a never Trumper. But here you see him gently scolding this bunch about how they treat other people. And it's interesting and also funny with the little add-on at the end, but I'll play it for you.
This group. I think I'm kind of afraid to be alone in this group. I surveyed these people. I focus grouped them. And they are really, really tired of being accused of either racism or sexism because they voted for Donald Trump. And it's one of the reasons why so many of them did. I sat on this stage with you and got chewed out when I suggested there's a better language to reach out to voters, that the Harris campaign is missing what they're looking for. And I say the same thing here. Americans just want to be Americans, not hyphenated Americans, not female Americans, black Americans, Jewish Americans. They just want to be Americans.
How do you think it makes people feel, black people, women, any person who has immutable characteristics about themselves, to be told every time that something happens that because they exist in a particular role, it is their fault?
People are really fucking stupid.
Yeah, he just kindly explains to them where they are off base. Have a good night, Hebrew. Hammer, I appreciate you stopping by. I appreciate you going to buy me a coffee. I really do. But I will say this about Frank Luntz. He looks better. He's probably come to some kind of a agreement, some kind of resolution. I won't say a deal, okay, because we know there are no deals for the criminals. But he's combed his hair. He's a much more level-headed person, and he's telling them to their face that the way they have been treating people is awful. And then, of course, she's got to finish it up with some stupid comment about diversity or whatever the hell she came up with. But anyway, folks, I want to play a little video for you. Let me see, what's this one? Yeah, I want to play this one on the way out. I appreciate you all putting up with me because I lost my temper a little bit earlier tonight. Not very much like me, you know. Although, yeah, it is like me. But anyway, I appreciate y'all spending your precious time with me. If something big happens, I will broadcast tomorrow. I don't usually broadcast on Tuesdays. Please remember to give me a thumbs up. I think you'll enjoy this little outro video. And I should be seeing you Wednesday unless something big happens. All right, folks? Thank you for your support. Enjoy this video. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.
Democrat open borders plan Entrenched single-party rule, explained in under 2 minutes. 1. Flood the country with untold millions of illegals by land, sea, and air from all over the world, enough to eclipse the populations of 36 individual U.S. states so far. 2. Prioritize the needs of these millions of non-citizens over the needs of the American citizen, with free flights, buses, hotels, meals, and phones, ensuring their loyalty to the political party that imported them. 3. Keep them in the country at all costs, even when they commit violent crime like murder and rape. Attack the language used to describe the criminals, as opposed to the criminals themselves. Slander critics as racist. 4. Ensure their privileges are made irrevocable with city and state sanctuary laws that act as population magnets. Codify permanent status and ensure non-cooperation with ICE. 5. Count the non-citizens in the census that will determine congressional apportionment in the House of Representatives. As of now, that would equal 13 extra congressional districts, a tremendous amount of electoral power. 6. Wage a massive, heavily funded lawfare campaign to change state voting laws that legalize mass mail-in ballots, no signature verification, and no proof of citizenship requirements, making it nearly impossible to prove voter fraud. 7. Lock in the permanent voting majority with campaign promises of lavish benefits and permanent privileges, enshrining generational fealty to the Democrat Party. 8. Win elections. 9. Entrenched single-party rule has been achieved. The best part? Your tax dollars are paying for it.